I know individuals that know a lot more than me. If we sit in the same interview together, I might most likely get the role and you won't.
That's big. When you talk about your personal brand and what's going to make you stand out.
If I'm getting into a field, I would want to be the best in that field. You feel like a demigod. You feel like you can bring things to life. When I was developing an application, I had an idea in my head and I could literally open my laptop and create what was in my head.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Tech Certified podcast. I'm your host, caleboni.certified, and this is the podcast where we interview tech creators and tech professionals who inspire us on our journeys in the tech industry. I've been so excited for our guest today. Our guest today is a software engineer who works at Microsoft. She's also an author. She's also a speaker, and she's also a content creator. Is there anything she can't do? Chisom is the author of a popular book titled A Techie's Guide into Big Tech Companies, which acts as a complete roadmap for landing jobs in international tech firms. Chisom, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Really excited to be here.
Good. Of course. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah.
Let's get straight into it. And the first question I'll ask you is, just to give us an introduction to you and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I think you already said like the high level definition of me. But yeah, I would agree with you that I am a couple of things. Firstly, I'm a software engineer at Microsoft. My role revolves around like big data engineering, AI, and I work in the under sustainability team. So I'm helping Microsoft with its goals of becoming like carbon negative by 2030. So my team is highly involved in making sure those goals are achieved. And yeah, aside from Microsoft, I do a couple of other things. I advocate a lot for people starting careers in tech, which has led me to do a couple of things. I have a book. I got offers from a couple of tech companies, big tech companies, and I'm like, okay, if I think I figured out the hack, let me just write it or put set up like a resource for people that would want to go through that path as me as well, to work at other big tech companies. And I also do YouTube. YouTube is a platform where I think I'm more free on YouTube. You can see like a more fun version of me on YouTube. So on YouTube is just me sharing my journey as a software engineer, career stories. I do a lot of lifestyle as well. I stay in Lagos, Nigeria, so there's a lot of fun here. So I document that as well. And yeah, I'm always active on social media channels, Twitter, LinkedIn, just like sharing, encouraging people, and just being that woman in tech, in quotes.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a really good general introduction. I didn't know a few of those things that you said, like about you working in big data specifically and AI, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick. So second thing I wanted to ask you was
Yeah.
to give like a brief walkthrough of your tech journey to getting to become a software engineer at Microsoft.
Yeah.
What are sort of the steps? Like, what's the background? How did you get there? You can start from wherever you want to start, not when you were born, but wherever you want to start.
Okay. So Microsoft was actually my dream company. When I was growing up, my dad got us like a desktop computer, like a monitor, CPU, printer, and each time I tried to boot that system, I would see like Windows Vista before I like put in my password to start like working on the desktop. And I always tell my parents that I want to work for Windows, and I didn't know that Windows was Microsoft. So I
Mm.
thought that Microsoft was actually far fetched. I was always saying, oh, when I finish school, I would work for 5 years. I'll become so good, and that Microsoft would employ me. But it didn't work that way. I literally joined Microsoft immediately I was done with school. So I think in terms of tech, that interest came up when I was still little. Like I had a computer. I was learning how to type, the whole Mavis Beacon. I was learning how to do PowerPoint. I would say I was really computer literate, like IT literate. So moving over to secondary school, I still did that. University, it wasn't so hard to choose a course because I just knew that I wouldn't want to do anything outside being in front of like a system, like a computer. So computer science was a no-brainer. I did computer science, and um I dabbled into Android development when I was in the university. I met someone that was building Android applications. He had like a phone thingy on his laptop, and I was like, "Oh, what's that? I think that looks interesting." And he said that he's an Android developer, and I just literally said, "Oh, I would like you to teach me how to develop software because I just knew how to code, like the whole if statements, for loops, but I wanted to
Mm.
like transfer that knowledge into building actual software." So in my second year in university, I started learning Android development. That was in 2019. Then COVID came in 2020. Everybody knows about COVID at this point. So COVID came in 2020. I was at home. I was literally grinding code. Like I was developing on the Android framework, and I was tired of tutorials. I was tired of just doing the regular stuff. I said, okay, Chisom, I think you actually need to launch an app on Play Store. I didn't think I usually see apps that are owned by companies. I didn't really see like apps that are owned by individuals on Play Store. So I did
Yeah.
some research and I was like, okay, if I want to be very confident in software development, I need to do something that I'm really scared of. And building an app was one thing I was really scared of. So I went ahead and I did it. I have like an app on Play Store now. It's a language learning app. And after launching the application, I became more confident, and I knew I was a CS student. I knew how hot CS students were at that time. And so, coupled with the experience I have developing software, I decided to start applying for jobs. Now, I started applying for jobs in Nigeria because I'm currently in Lagos, Nigeria. And they kept saying they can't employ people with no experience, no actual work experience. But I tried to prove myself that okay, I don't have work experience, but this is something I've been able to do by myself. But apparently that wasn't enough. But I'm really glad that those rejections came. I'm so
Mm.
happy they came because if I had gotten accepted in any of those companies, I wouldn't be at Microsoft today. And so I just figured out that these big tech companies have more capacity to train new
Mm.
graduates, and they also have capacity to let people that don't really have experience but have that problem solving um skill. And that was one thing that I highlighted with almost all the big tech companies I applied to: Microsoft, Google, Meta and Amazon and all of that. And so I was also a Microsoft student partner, but that wasn't like a perk that got me in. But it just gave me like enough awareness because I saw other people in that program that wanted to apply for Microsoft as new grads. And so I started grinding leak code.
Mm.
I started grinding
Yeah.
leak code. I figured out that the experience side of things, I had it on check. The behavioral side of things, in terms of like soft skills and all of that, have it on check. I mean, look at the way I'm talking to you. This is exactly where I spoke to all of my interviewers. So the
Wow.
other part that was I was actually lacking in was the lead code side of things, like the algo and DS, the algorithm and data structures. So I started
Yeah.
grinding on that for like literally the later part of 2020 after launching my app. And yeah, I applied to so many companies. They kept on getting rejections. Microsoft reached out to me with an email saying that they want to interview. That was in December, and I did like four interviews, and I was able to show myself in such a way that okay, they saw me as okay, Chisom doesn't have experience, but she has built an app. She has really good soft skills. Like I can literally know who she is by just talking to her. She can
Yeah.
code and she can answer like questions around system design. She's a new graduate. Let's give her a chance. I think that was what I sold to my interviewers, and they saw that, and I'm really glad that they did. And in January, I got like the offer. Congratulations and all of that. So that is literally the short story. But there are a lot of things that
Wow.
happen in between, a lot of bad things as well. But altogether,
Mm.
that's exactly that's just how it went.
That's an amazing story, and we'll get into to the bad things as well. That's really interesting, and there's loads of things that I picked up on just from your story. For
Mm,
one, you were developing apps
yeah,
at an early an early age. Um, and another is that you got rejected from loads of places,
yeah, a lot.
loads of companies that it's like nothing compared to Microsoft.
Yeah,
So today's video has been kindly sponsored by Cloudways. Cloudways provides fast and reliable cloud hosting solutions for digital agencies, e-commerce stores, and online businesses. As a managed cloud provider, Cloudways provides the flexibility to manage your applications or websites on top cloud infrastructures like AWS, DigitalOcean, and even Google Cloud. Cloudways provides world-class hosting solutions for WordPress, Magento, Laravel, and PHP applications. The platform ensures fast and reliable performance, high availability to host high-traffic sites. Plus, with Cloudways Autonomous, enjoy fully managed hosting that auto-scales to meet the needs of your growing business. Cloudways provides a variety of options. Simply click the link in the description below to try it out for completely free. Big thank you to Cloudways for sponsoring this video. And so I think that's kind of a common theme where people that are working at amazing companies, the big companies, Microsoft or Google or wherever, if you ask them about their journey to that place, they'll tell you they've been rejected by the company down the road that, that no one knows about. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So a big question, which I always ask like everyone that comes on here, is just about their journey. So throughout your journey,
Mhm.
talk to me about the biggest pro and then the biggest con of working in this tech industry.
It's a lot. It's
Just
a
one. If you were to choose one of each, biggest pro,
lot.
biggest con.
Okay. I think biggest pro would be you feel like a demigod, right?
Mm.
You feel like you can bring things to life. Like when I was developing an application, I had an idea in my head. I knew what it's going to look like. I knew the kind of problems I wanted to solve. And I could literally open my laptop and create what was in my head. I could literally
Mm.
implement that. And it doesn't just end there. When I started working as a software engineer, I'm working on products that are impacting billions of users. I'm working on um very solid projects that have like world impact. So being a software engineer makes you feel so powerful. You can literally create things that could solve problems for people, and you're making impact as you're writing your lines of code in your bedroom or in your office space. You're making impact from that position. Now, as much as that's cool, that's really nice, it also has its own cons, right? You're going to be in a position where learning never ends. You're going to
Mm.
not say this project requires me to learn Python, and you're not going to tell yourself I don't know Python, or I don't like Python. You literally have to get the job done. So you're
Yeah.
continuously learning, right? So as much as AI is here now, there's some things that you have to unlearn, and there's some things that you have to drop, right? So the learning curve is huge. You literally have to have a growth mindset. Software engineering or the tech industry in general is not something that you do like you're doing the same thing over and over again. There's always room for improvement and
Yep.
learnings as well. So at times that can get very annoying, challenging, and overwhelming, but I mean, it is what it is.
Wow. I really relate to your con. Learning is continuous in this industry, in the whole tech industry. It doesn't really matter which area of tech you work. You just have to keep learning. Things always change,
Yeah,
and they don't stop changing. So
exactly.
it's a really big one. And I really agree with that. And you're pro. You can create anything. I mean, I don't code much. The only code that I kind of use is automation stuff like PowerShell and
Mm,
Terraform. So it's interesting to hear from like a software engineer
yeah,
what that pro is for you. And moving on, a big question I wanted to ask is just about like how competitive it is getting into tech companies like Microsoft, for example. I
yeah.
think for me, so I feel like a lot of people on this channel don't know this. Well, they know I'm Nigerian,
Okay.
and they don't know that I kind of so I did secondary school in Nigeria.
Oh,
So
nice.
from the ages of 10 to 17, I grew up in Nigeria from that period of time. I lived in Abuja and went
Mm-hmm.
to school there. So I kind of have like an understanding of the way things can be. I feel like not to get into like all the little bits and politics, but there's a lot of really, really talented people in Nigeria that are ready to do the work and work really hard,
Mm-hmm.
but the opportunity is not
Really.
at the same level for the amount of talent.
Mm.
So I wanted to ask you, who's there right now and who's doing really, really well in that kind of environment. Yeah. How competitive is it, and how do you find that in Nigeria as well?
Um, I can't come here and say it's not competitive. That would
Mm.
be lying. But um, for like I mentioned, I had applied to a couple of other companies, and I just noticed a pattern with these companies, right? They don't just want you to know how to code per se. Like I always tell people, I know individuals that know a lot more than me, but if we sit in the same interview together, I might most likely get the role and you won't, right? So I noticed that these companies don't really focus on, oh, this person really knows how to code, this person really knows how to solve problems, this person is very intuitive and it has like an eye for detail. These companies also look out for those other attractive things like your soft skills, most especially the way you brand yourself on social media, for instance, the way you can what's the way you can literally package? I don't know. In Nigeria, we call it packaging. You know, you package yourself.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, just that. Like, no matter how you know, if you can't package yourself in a very good way, nobody's going to look your way. So it comes from a place of okay, are you going to get referrals? If you're getting referrals, then you don't have really have to do much work in making sure that your application gets to the top. So now even before you get those referrals, the person has to see something in you, and that thing might not be your coding skills. It might just be the way you sound, the way you're asking for that request, the way you're posting about what you know on social media, the way your resume looks like, just things like that, right? That can push the person to refer you. So it's quite competitive, but I would say that if you know how to code, or like if you're listening to this and you know how to code, you're a geek, you know five different programming languages. If you do not work on like your soft skills and your online presence or your online footprints, you might have a problem because I mean, if you go abroad, people are doing the most. I always tell people are doing the most. So if you think that your resume is good, your LinkedIn, you don't have a picture on your LinkedIn, you don't have a summary, you don't have like your experience section is empty. If you go abroad and watch how people apply for jobs with so much intentionality, you're going to be shocked, right? And
Mm.
even in that pool of people that are really good, you still have the people that will be like top of their game, even in that pool. So it's just a combination of you working on, obviously your coding skills have to be okay, your technical knowledge and your powers has to be good, first of all. Then when you're settled with that, work on other things. Work on your soft skills. Work on the way you speak during interviews. Do not be someone that is anti collaboration. Show them that you can collaborate with teams. Show them that you have some leadership qualities. I mean, you should be able to showcase different versions of yourself during the interview, even if the interview just lasts for 30 minutes. The interviewer is meant to see you as someone that would be valuable to the company. Aside your technical skills, what else can you offer? Right. So I think that's what most people don't really spend time working on. They might just work on lead code, VS code, join interviews and right and it's just there. So yeah, I think most of these companies look for something extra. Yeah, they know you can code, they know that you're a CS student, but what's that extra spark that makes you you and that is going to make you valuable in the company in different ways?
Wow, that's big. That's really big. I think people don't think about personal branding like that way.
Yeah.
It's all what can you do, but when you talk about your personal brand and what's going to make you stand out, like
Yes.
that's incredible. And I can see you've got the evidence of that, and it's very glaring. Like you go on Chisom's LinkedIn, go on her Instagram or her YouTube channel. She's done her personal branding and how wherever you are, if you watch her video, you'll be like, oh wow, this person is someone that I'd like to employ. Like, I'd love for her to be a part of my company or whatever I'm doing. And so
Yeah.
that's the real importance of personal branding. And in a difficult market, if you want to stand out, your
Exactly.
personal brand can help you do that.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this video of a lady that was looking for a job, and she did like this very attractive video of she was speaking in different languages. I don't know if you saw it. I think it went viral on LinkedIn. Now
Really.
that's going overboard. So if people are doing that and you're still doing the least, then you've not started. You haven't started. I really did see the
Wow,
video.
wow,
It was amazing. Nobody has ever done
wow.
that before.
I'll have to check that out after this podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So to move on, I guess like I don't even need to ask this question because you've given so much advice already.
Okay.
But the question is, what advice would you give to someone trying to get into tech? I guess other than the advice that you've given already, with the
Okay.
personal branding. Yeah, what advice would you give to someone trying to get into the tech industry?
I think it's just you literally just standing out like you said.
Mm,
If I'm getting into a field, I would want to be the best in that field. And not like the best, but I would learn in such a way that I would want to be the best. Like I wouldn't learn it in like a mediocre way that I'm learning front end, I know how to do a few templates, I'll just stop there. No. You have to like go the extra mile to do a lot of research, build as much projects as you can, because during your interviews, if you're applying for a very technical role, I'm speaking about engineering, so I might be a little bit biased, but if you're applying
yeah.
for a very technical role, you want to have conversations with your interviewer and you want that person to say, oh, this person actually knows their onions. Like you want to be mentioning things that you've experienced, things that you've gotten your hands dirty with, right? You want to talk about your projects, you want to talk about the pitfalls, the projects that you worked on, the challenges that you faced, how you overcame those challenges, how you worked in a team, how you were a leader, the problems you had putting your team together. I mean, all those things. So you really want to get your hands dirty with like the technical stuff and the non-technical stuff. And you also have to prepare very well. No matter how many years of experience you have, if you have an interview with a company, you shouldn't say, "Oh, I've done this before. This is nothing." You should still go ahead to practice, do mock interviews, speak with
Mm,
people to make sure that you're interviewing skills are still ready to go. So I think it's just basically standing out, build as much projects as possible. If you can launch those projects on maybe the app store or a website, if you're working on stuff that don't really have UI work, like maybe DevOps, cybersecurity, blockchain, you can start building like architectural documentations that you can talk about, make sure that your GitHub is really good. I mean, just ask yourself at this point you're in, would you hire you and pay you a lot of money? So if you can't comfortably say, oh, I can hire me and pay me like $200,000 in a year or $500,000 in a year, then
hey.
you're not ready. So it's
Mm,
just basically standing out and just making sure that you're not doing yourself a disfavor when if you probably get rejected, you just know that it's coming from the company and not you. So that level of confidence is what you should try to build.
yeah, and I really like that question. Would you hire you? That's a really good question, and only you can answer it. And so, if you know that you've put in the work, then you know you're in a good place. If you still feel like there's more that I need to learn, then you can go back
Yeah,
and do that work and put in that work to be where you feel like at a point where you feel like you could get hired and you would probably hire yourself.
exactly.
So yeah, that's a really good response. Another thing which I ask every guest that's going to be on here is to share an interesting career story. It could be interesting good or interesting bad, but something that's happened in your career. If you have a story, then go ahead.
I think I have a couple of stories. I'll say the bad and the
Mm,
good.
okay.
So I think I was having a conversation with someone recently when I was telling the person that your career is not like school where you have like a syllabus drawn out. You have like, oh, I'm taking this exam in March, I'm writing this test in April, I'll be graduating in June. Everything is planned out and you just have to like be a good student, right? For your career, it's quite different because you don't know how to move to the next level, number one. You don't know the things that you should do, number two. You don't know when it's time to leave a particular company. You don't know if you should stay. You don't know if you should switch to a different field. So that's how confusing a career is. And I think when I joined Microsoft, I started an early career first of all, and the people I had around me had worked at startups prior, like they had like experience working in a startup, and it was just me coming from school, diving into a huge company, and I had experience with Git, but the Git here was different from the one on my laptop because you're most likely collaborating with different people, and it was a huge code base. So imposter syndrome actually sets in at some point. The first time I joined, I was required to write something in Python, and the only languages I knew was Java, and I couldn't tell my manager, I don't know how to write Python, give me something else. That's not possible. So I had to learn Python from the beginning. I just had to
Wow.
learn the things I needed to write that Python script. And in 2 weeks, I was done. I sent in a PR and everything was okay at the end of the day. But within those 2 weeks, I freaked out a lot. I was scared. I was doubting my presence. I was asking myself, oh, what if they made a mistake hiring? What if I'm a fraud? Like, yeah, those imposter syndrome. Like, so I think that's the bad side of starting with like an early career. Most likely in a huge company, you're going to have those doubts and all of that. Then the second story, which I'm really proud of, is when I got my first promotion after like a
Mm.
year and few months. It was something that really boosted my confidence, right? Because you don't just get promotions at Microsoft like this. There has to be something that you did, right? So that's a positive side because I started with being doubtful of what I know, and I was doubting my skills and what I was capable of doing. But when that promotion came, I felt more confident. I felt like, okay, my skills are actually valuable in this company. I should actually put in more work to see how far that I can grow and how far I can scale my career. So in terms of like building an early career, I think those were two major milestones for me, moving from a place of confusion to me talking like this, feeling confident,
Mm.
and still learning as much as I can, and just wanting to go to the next level and just pushing for that.
Amazing. Those are two really good stories. Congratulations on your promotion, even though it might have been a while ago now.
Thank you.
Oh, that's really good. Really good. Wait, stop. There is no way you've listened to this podcast all this way and have not subscribed to the channel. Some of you have not even liked the video. If you've taken any value from this podcast, please subscribe to the channel, Caleb Only Certified, and leave a like on this video so it can get out to as many people as possible. And you never know, leaving a like might actually give you some good luck. Okay, that's enough. Let's get back to the podcast. So the next question I wanted to ask you is about kind of your content creation journey. So what inspired you to share content for one and even write the book? And how have you found this journey of content creation?
Okay, you're talking about like inspiration now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. For the book, I think the book came before content. The book was from a place of when I announced, I actually did my internship at Bank of America. So I think I figured out the hack for like most of these companies. And when I announced this on social media, people were curious. How were you able to get two huge offers? You're Nigerian, you're in school abroad, you just tell us how you were able to do it. And
Mm.
I started getting a lot of DMs on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I was replying to a couple of them. Then the questions were getting so much until at
Mm.
some point I noticed that all the questions had a pattern. How did you start? How did you scale? Who did you meet? And all of that. And I said, okay, this could actually form like a series or something. So I thought of like doing like an article series on Medium, and when I started drafting like the content for this article series, it kept on growing. Like it was so huge. I was like, nah, I don't think I don't think this should be an article. And I was like, okay, let me think about a book. I've never written a book in my life. I don't consider myself a writer. But at that
Mm.
point, it just needed to be done. So I had to like push myself out of my comfort zone and start writing like the book process. So I just collated all the questions I was getting from people. I tried to like design a very solid roadmap. When I say solid, that roadmap is very, very solid. So I started from the very beginning, just telling my own story in the book, from like the personal branding stage to how to apply for these jobs, to the interview stage, to the negotiation, how to negotiate your salary, or even how to handle rejections if you don't get the offer. Then I also reached out to my friends working at other companies like Amazon, Twitter, Meta, Google, and Microsoft. They were all Nigerians, and I said, okay, you just have to contribute to this book so that people can see that it's possible, right? People can see that these are people, these people look like me. So if they can do it, then I can do it definitely. So yeah, that was how the book came about. I am a huge fan of giving back. Like if I figure out something and I'm seeing that people are struggling to do that and I've done it, I would want to always simplify things for people and just give back. And
Yeah.
my YouTube channel has the same goal, but my YouTube channel is from a place of inspiration. I've watched so many YouTubers that have built their lives up so much, and you can easily go to their YouTube channel and see videos from 6 years back, 7 years back, and you're like, oh, this is how this person started, this is what this person was all about, these are what this person valued, and you can literally see the growth for those people. So my YouTube channel is to inspire women that want to be software engineers, women that want to be in the tech industry. Oh, this is Chisom, day in my life as a software engineer. This is Chisom. She's a woman in tech. She's not only a woman in tech, she's a black woman in tech. And she's working as a software engineer at one of the biggest companies. So if you can see that, then you shouldn't have any form of stereotype in your head about being a lady in tech. And just also around documenting my 20s, I see myself on going on a very, very interesting journey. And I don't want to miss documenting any of my stories. I want people to actually look back and see where everything started from and just connect the dots. So it's just around sharing my story, documenting, and teaching as well. Because for content creation, I'm not doing like comedy skits or anything.
Yeah.
The way you know content that is value is if after 1 minute or 2 minutes you have learned at least one thing. So in the midst of doing all those things, I'm actually teaching people, I'm actually helping people grow in their tech career, growing their knowledge, all rounder, and all of that. So yeah, I think those are my values in terms of content creation and my book as well.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. And yeah, I guess I could say like very similar for me, like in terms
Mm,
of what I've been sharing online and documenting my career. For one, just knowing that there's a lot of people in a position that I was in and wanting to help them to sort of put out content that is gonna help people to sort of get to where I am. It's not as if I have 30 years of experience in
mm,
cloud computing, but I've recently done what some people are trying to do, and I can really just share loads of things that could help people. And it's also just I could learn something tomorrow and make a video about it. It's
yeah,
not
that's
like
good. That's
right. I'm not claiming to be a professional well, I am a professional, but not an expert that has been doing this for
exactly
so
that's
long.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's so amazing. Thank you so much, Chisom, for sharing all of this.
Thank you.
And to end off, I just wanted to ask you if there's anything you want to share, plug, or promote.
Definitely, girl is going to promote her YouTube channel. So, if you want to work in any big tech company and you're looking for a guide, I know that you have like a lot of articles out there. You have lead code channels. You have what do they call this? What do they call? Yeah, you have Discord to speak with people from like other companies. But if you're looking for a guide where you can see everything that you need from the very beginning to the very end, I think, oh, I know that my book is the best resource for you. It's very handy. It has like an interview journal where you can record like your interview progress with companies and like things you did right, things you did wrong. And also, yeah, my YouTube channel, I share a lot about my career as a software engineer. I share a lot about my life as a woman in tech. And there's so many things that you can learn from because as I learn from other people, I also try to teach that on my channel. So aside that, I think that's it. But I would like to, can I give like some parting notes to end the
Of
discussion?
course. And just before you do that,
Yeah.
all of the things you mentioned, the book, your channel, and everything will be linked in the
Yeah.
description,
That'd be so
and
nice.
you can go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so parting words would be, the tech industry is so colorful. It's very interesting and it's literally the future. No matter what's coming out now, the tech industry is the future. So if you're watching this video, if you're listening to this podcast and you're starting out a career in tech, or you're still grinding and you're just hoping for the day that you're going to get that big break, going to come very, very soon. So keep putting in the work, keep learning, keep asking questions, try to meet people that are doing what you're doing, experts in your field, pour out yourself to them, gain nice advice from them, and just keep pushing your career as much as you can. Few years from now, your previous self is going to thank you. And once you get to that point that you're dreaming of getting to, please don't forget to give back. Don't forget to teach other people. Don't forget to uplift other people, and just keep getting better as you go.
Thanks so much for joining, Chisom, and thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you in the next one.